Hey, if you're making offers on real estate, I want you to stop making any more offers until you watch this video because this could protect you from a crazy seller in the event of a deal gone bad. All right, let's get started. Okay, so what am I talking about here when I said stop making your offers? What I mean by this is I don't want to see you making offers the way you're probably currently doing it right now, either in your own name or maybe you're making the offer in the name of the entity that you're going to buy the property in, because that can just roll up onto you if a deal goes bad. And so one of the things that I've discovered in working with real estate investors and putting my own deals together is that when it comes to making the offer, I want to separate out my offers from those entities that actually hold title to my real estate. I don't want the sellers that I'm looking to buy property from to know that I'm an avid real estate investor. I don't want them to have any inkling that I have a sizable portfolio or that I flip property. So in order to do that, to keep that separate and to keep any potential liability for rolling up on you, the way I like to structure my offers is as follows. Let's say you're a flipper. So you have your flipping entity right over here. Here's my flipping entity. All right. Now, you might think, hey, I've been flipping property. I got this entity. It's We Buy Fast Houses. And you've just been making your offers through that for the last 3 years and everything's been fine. However, it just takes one mistake, something to go wrong on that one deal. And the next thing you'll find out about is that deal goes bad, they'll sue this entity. So how do we prevent that from happening? Well, what I like to do is I like to create a separate entity over here, and I call this my offer entity, just like this. So I set up my offer entity, and when I set up my offer entity, I essentially act as my own wholesaler. So you could think of this also as a wholesaling entity, that this is the red box that is going to work with the seller to make an offer on this property. So I'll put on the offer red box and or designated entity on that contract, so that if I decide to close on it, I don't need to close in this entity. This entity will never own property, okay? The property, when I take title to that property, it's always going to be taken in a separate entity. So in my case, if I was flipping property, I would have another red box set up over here owned by my corporation. Again, go through my channel if you want to know about flipping and how I like to structure them. I've got lots of videos on flipping property. Just type that in as the keyword. But here's the thing, when I go to close, I'll close over here in this LLC number 1. That'll close on the property, not the offer entity. But let's assume that you didn't want to close on that deal, right? Well, if I decided to walk away, any claims that the seller could have against me for failure to close on that real estate purchase and sale agreement, that's going to run to the offer entity. And I keep that offer entity all off on its own. I don't use anonymity on that one because I'm working with the seller. I don't care. They know who I am. In fact, I have found that the less you use anonymity in the offer entity, the better off you can be when working with sellers, because they want to know that there's somebody behind it. They don't want to think that, hey, I'm dealing with some big national conglomerate hedge fund that's coming in to buy this piece of property. So I found that by having myself behind that, it does actually help get some deals done. So no anonymity right here, but definitely you have anonymity over here on the holding side of what it is you're doing. So anyhow, you set this entity up in the state where you're doing most of your deals. It's created there. You're listed as a manager. So everyone knows, hey, yeah, you can enter into this agreement for this property. So you tie it up there. But if something were to go wrong, this is the entity that would be sued. Now, when I move the property, okay, the contract, and I'm moving the contract over to my other entity, in this example, I was using a flip. It works the same if you're buying and holding. Okay, so if I was buying and holding, it wouldn't be a flip entity. It might be something like this. I have my Wyoming LLC here, and I've got the LLC that's owned by that, and I put the deal over here into this LLC. When I move that deal over, and I assign my right to close over to that other LLC, I pay. Okay, this is what you want to do. You want to pay this company over here, your offering entity, a fee. Okay. This is critical here. If you're going to follow this strategy, you got to pay it a fee. Now, what is that fee? It could be $1,000, $2,000, some reasonable amount of money. Say it was $1,500. You paid a fee. And the reason why you're doing that is because you want to substantiate that that's a business. I run into some investors that said, oh, Clint, I already have this one figured out. I've been doing this for the last couple of years. I never make an offer in the entity where I'm going to close. And my response is, all right, well, what do you pay? Like, what do you mean, what do I pay? Well, what do you pay your entity that's making the offer? And they look at me and they think, well, why would I pay the entity that's making the offer? It's just me. Because if that's your approach, then a court would say, yeah, this is just you. It's all you. So there's no difference there. And that gives someone access to your assets. So you got to make sure you treat it at an arm's length, or you create the perception that this is a business. So you want this offering entity making some money. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because that money is going to go over there. It's going to get taxed to you. Of course, it's going to be taxed to you one way or the other. But when you get those funds paid over there, then you can start using those funds to maybe contribute to a self-directed IRA, because you can create active income, or a solo 401k, or you can expense them out in many different ways, having an accountable plan to work out of your house. Lots of strategies on a tax side there. But make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're paying it and you're treating it as a business. So when you're buying or making offers on real estate, it's really key, I believe, that you do not make offers in the entity you want to close. Create a separate limited liability company. Maybe you treat it as an S corp. Maybe you treat it as, my favorite, as a C corporation. Make the offers out of that entity and then sell the offers over to the entity that you eventually want to close into, and you're going to get yourself better protection with that type of plan. Hey, if you want to learn more about this type of stuff, be sure you subscribe to my channel. So as I release new content, you'll get notified of those new videos as they come out. I typically drop 1 or 2 a week. Want to keep you up to date. 2024 is going to be a great year when it comes to real estate investing, I believe. More importantly, there's a lot of law changes on the books, Corporate Transparency Act. I'll make sure you stay informed about all those changes that are coming up so that you can stay in front of them and not coming back from behind. All right, everyone, take care.